Hello and welcome back to the Captain Crypto video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we're back with another banger PulseChain video, giving you guys the latest and greatest of crypto news. And today we're going to pick up from where we left off, giving you guys critical information that you need to know to understand why we are at these prices and why you shouldn't feed into your self-doubt, emotion, and potentially from fumbling your own bags before we see the primetime altcoin season that we haven't seen yet since the previous cycle. I have one point to make in this video, guys, and that is the bull run is still on regardless of whoever you listen to, whoever you might have read from Twitter. I don't care if they have 100,000 or 1 million followers, guys. Okay, you can't argue against data. So again, I'm telling you this right now, watch the whole video through, you will leave feeling more confident. And especially if you're in PulseChain, that's my bet of this cycle. You will feel more confident about PulseChain as well. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. We have a few comments here. I'm going to start with, we're going to go look into that. Big shout out to the YouTube members. Thank you very much, guys, for choosing to support my small channel, for telling me that you want me to continue doing what I do. And I'm going to try to get back to the routine of making daily videos. So let me know down in the comments if you want me to do that. And by the way, it does help if you engage with this video, giving it a like, commenting. It does push it to people who are new to PulseChain, people who are new to crypto. Okay, so there's that. So big shout to Crypto GPA says, let me double check my mic was working. Yes. Big shout to Crypto GPA says, you give me hope for PulseChain. Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. Okay, PulseChain is actually more than an investment to me. I want to stay here in the bear markets. I want to represent PulseChain. I really am glad that Richard Heart is at the forefront of PulseChain. And I can make a whole video talking about that. But, you know, you can just watch a live stream from Richard Heart that's like 5 years old and you'll still learn something new. Okay, I believe in Richard Hart's message. Okay, I'm not here telling you guys, oh yeah, you know, Richard Hart is smart just because he did a chart that did a 10,000x in the previous cycle. Okay, no, regardless of what the charts are printing, which by the way, right now, majority of people on Twitter, it's so crazy. People calling him straight up a scammer just because the charts are down minus 80% or minus 90%. But you'll have the same people that all of a sudden will say, oh yeah, he's the greatest founder. And the difference is, oh, whether the chart is a 10x or minus 90%, when his message is the same. So please, guys, check yourself. Accountability check. We're going to move on. Big shout to Zenki says, I will be happy with a 2 to 3x in altcoins. Well, let me tell you, my friend, okay, in 2024, and I mentioned this, we had too many altcoin season. I call them mini for a reason, and you know what? Let's start with that chart right here. Okay, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Very, very, very important. You'll realize that we haven't reached that bottom of 40% Bitcoin dominance since what? Since 2022. But we still had too many altcoin seasons in earlier of 2024 and in kind of a late 2024 from October to December, pump October, right? Which is we're a few days from October, guys. It's very exciting, and hopefully Bitcoin ends on a green candle. Again, I'm going on a tangent, but yeah, look at this. We haven't reached like Bitcoin. The Bitcoin dominance didn't create that falling knife that indicates a clear indication of the beginning of the altcoin season. So this is why I don't even count that. But I want to mention it because even though Bitcoin dominance was still very high, we've seen an average of 20 to a 40x of a portfolio in PulseChain on each wave. We're talking things like PDAI, things like Atropa, things like PTGC, UFO, you know, Teddy Bear, PWT, a lot of those tokens. They did an average of a 20 to a 40x each, guys. So now just imagine what would happen if it was a full-time or prime-time altcoin season. Things to look forward to. So you're going to be in for a ride, Zenki. Thank you very much for your comments. And another comment here from Rough Trader 72 says, great vibes, bro. Well, I appreciate you. And last but not least, this is the comment that I wanted to highlight. And again, I just want to say a big shout out. Thank you very much for giving us your perspective, regardless if I disagree with it or not. It's great that we have these discussions because I am where I am today. It's not because I listened to the people that told me what I wanted to hear. And this goes out to every aspect of life, guys. Okay. So his comment here from Urabe says, unfortunately, the top was in 1 month ago, and I told you that. Next bull run starts in 2028. Then in 2030, Bitcoin will definitely hit 1 million and Pulse tokens will pump. Okay, we're going to talk about this. And I have a chart that I want to show you, okay, to kind of tell you my thoughts, my opinions. Okay, that was your perspective. I'm going to give you my perspective. At the end of the day, we both don't know the reality. We actually don't know. Okay. And also the fact that you've used words like definitely, I would be careful with that, because in crypto, one of the first rules you need to acknowledge is that you can never predict the future. You should always have a plan, and you should have the ability to adapt. And there's other mindset models that's really great to have, such as never quitting, because people get shattered when they are wrong about something, guys. Okay, it's like almost an ego thing. They don't want to admit that they're wrong, so they decide, you know what? I never want to trade in crypto again. I never want to trade in stocks again, because I was wrong. I did a trade that I thought was going to be at 10x. Yes, there's a few things that you could learn for sure. These are expensive mistakes, right? Because you need to understand things like diversifying, right? You need to not be overexposed to a certain token, not to be overexposed to a certain ecosystem, or mitigate yourself from chain level risks, and a bunch of other things. You want to have a healthy relationship with your portfolio. Don't look at the charts every single day. Prioritize knowledge, build a thesis of the tokens that you believe in. Don't just jump into it because of FOMO, fear of missing out. That's what the herd behavior, guys. That's herd behavior, retail investor, or CT as people start to call it recently, which I think it stands for commercial traders. Anyways, to do with that comment, I have a chart for you, my friend, and that is this. Okay, this is the Purchasing Managers Index. You might have seen it. A lot of people talk about this. I think Raoul Powell is one of them. And okay, first of all, there's a lot of information that we can talk about in this chart. Okay, it really, it says more than 1,000 words here. But you can see that traditionally, it's off the bat, you can kind of tell. Look at this. It's a sine wave. Cyclical nature to this, to the business cycle. Right now, the PMI is under 50. That means the current, industry is actually contracting. Not good. Weakening labor markets. We have concerns of recession. I think JP Morgan had a 40% chance that 2025 will be a year where we'll hit a recession. Okay, now granted, it was 60%. They lowered it, but nonetheless, people are still fearful for a few reasons. We still have things like the unemployment rate slowly rising towards the trajectory of a recession. We're not near the recession level, but it's that's the trajectory, and that's something to worry about for sure. Which is great that we've seen the Federal Reserve starting to reduce the interest rates, because of course that has a positive effect, right? It makes it increases risk appetite, just to keep it very, very easy. But we're going to talk more about this, giving you guys that side of an update. But you can see here, okay, the orange line is the Bitcoin chart, okay, and it topped it topped every time when the PMI is around its peak, okay? So would you say it's fair that Bitcoin topped last month when, we're nowhere near above 50? And actually, look, it was an average around 56 to 60, and here 64. We're nowhere near there. Now, I also do want to talk about how this cycle can be different, and how this cycle is the worst cycle ever. Because, guys, every single cycle, people say, "Oh yeah, this is the worst cycle ever. Oh yeah, this cycle is different." Okay, but going with pattern recognition, you can clearly see, I put this 1,400 days, which is around just under 3 years, which coincidentally aligns with the Bitcoin halving, which I'll say a big shout out to you, because you said the next bull run starts in 2028. I assume you're basing that off the Bitcoin halving event. That's great, because it coincidentally aligns with the business cycle. But yeah, you can see that we put 1,400 days. It's very consistent, right? From bottom to bottom is around 1,400 days, 1,400 days, 1,400 days. But now we've been in the longest bear market ever. What's going on? Now, this obviously is to do with global macro economic forces, that are impeding. We've had new things that we haven't had before, right? Now we have institutional investors, right? With the things like the ETFs opening up Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? To that side of, I guess, the world. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that the market, guys, okay, there's no stimulus. We haven't reached that point where things are booming. Things stop when everyone becomes bullish. A lot of people right now, guys, do you understand how crazy this is? I'm about to tell you this right now. The Fear and Greed Index is at 34, whilst the Bitcoin price is at $110,000. Guys, you think this is where bear markets start? No. Bear markets don't start when everyone's calling for it or, during bear sentiments. Like, that's a fun fact. Bear markets literally start at tops when everyone's euphoric. So right now, look at this. The price of Bitcoin is doing absolutely amazing with higher highs, higher lows. That beautiful. And the prices are going up as we're climbing the wall of worry. Everyone's so quick to say, oh yeah, that was it. Bitcoin went from 17,000 to 120 something thousand. That is it. They're disregarding a lot of data. Okay, and also be careful from the people that are on Twitter trying to say some wild, kind of statements like, "Oh yeah, that's it." Careful. Fear mongering, whatever. Because guys, sometimes people do this for clicks. Okay, so do remember that the higher the number of followers or subscribers someone has, the higher the likeliness of them having a ulterior motive. So please be careful. Okay. This is why I'm actually quite happy with my channel. I don't care about sounding right. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Okay. I care about making money. Okay. Another saying is that people say bears sound clever, bulls make money. 2024 was a great year. 2025 has room to be a great year. We have 90 days till 2026. A lot of things can happen in 90 days. In PulseChain, we've had like PDAI, we've had PTGC do a 30x in 30 days. That's 1x every day. You wake up, you double your money. Guys, crazy. So, anyways, that was kind of my reply. Just showing you guys data. I'm giving you here data-driven responses. I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong. I'm just saying that's my perspective. And this is the data. These are numbers. Okay. So anyways, thank you very much for that for sure. And also, this is the thing I wanted to talk about. This is the unemployment rate. Okay. We have room for, and I showed you in the previous video, like I showed you how when interest rates were low, like in 2021 or 2020, it went all the way down to 0%, like 0.25% interest rates. And that was when Bitcoin topped. But the fact that we are at still 4.7 interest rate, it doesn't make sense for me to think that we have topped in terms of Bitcoin price. And of course, if Bitcoin topped, then that means Ethereum topped, and that means altcoins topped. But no, we need Bitcoin to continue rising up because of course, Ethereum is a leverage of whatever Bitcoin success, and yes, Bitcoin is a leverage of whatever Russell 2000, whatever S&P 500 does. Spoken about this in the previous episode. So if you haven't watched, definitely go check that out. So before we jump into some great news, just in general, really talking about global macroeconomics, etc., I made this tweet here just before I started, and I said here, breaking, a poster from 1875 predicts bull run. 2026 will be a year of good times, high prices, and the time to sell stocks and values of all kinds. So yeah, look at this. This is 2026. You can see the poster, guys. Signed 1875. And it's called the Benner cycle if anyone wants to look this up. And I said here, do you notice the three numbers? Look at this. 3, 6, 9. And then if you scroll down here, I said, and I mentioned a quote here. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. Oh, sorry, you would have the key. That was a misspelling on my part. Nikola Tesla. And here I said, it gets even weirder. And by the way, Nikola Tesla is such a legend. His story is absolutely crazy. I need to learn more about him as well. Side note. And then I mentioned Richard Hart's new layer 1 chain, PulseChain, that no one knows about yet, has the chain ID of 3, 6, and 9. Is this a coincidence, or is there something going on that we do not know yet? This is the man who beat the SEC, but is still wanted by the Interpol. I've seen some people talk about, why is he still not live streaming? He's hiding. And guys, I've actually seen people who need to tee up on Twitter, straight up changing their profile picture, which is fine. But they're now just making tweets saying, oh yeah, Richard Hart is a scammer. He needs to be locked up. I hate you. I hope bad things happen to you. Guys, what's going on, bro? Low prices really does show the true colors of some people, bro. I'm actually glad I'm making these videos because it's an accountability check for me. Okay? I don't feel any difference from Richard Hart. It's crazy, bro. These people are losing, they lose their belief and conviction for PulseChain so easily. When we're not even at all-time lows. I showed this in the previous video. Look at Pulse. It's not even at all-time low. All-time low was back in April. But just because we did a lower, we went down, but we're still actually creating higher lows, by the way. It's crazy. People are losing, bro. And this is a sign that we're getting closer to the euphoria, getting closer to the rally up. Because as we get closer to the rally up, guess what? Sentiments are more volatile. Guys, and the same thing with the chart. The chart becomes volatile. And that's a feature. That's not a bug. That's a feature we have to accept. Volatility is the price that you pay for holding the best crypto assets. This legend right here said it. That's the quote from him. That's what he's teaching us. He's teaching us these concepts that are timeless. Anyways, and he goes, and then I said here, this man who beat the SEC is using the same lawyers of Elon Musk. So they had the same law firm, Quinn Emanuel. So you never know if they had any conversations. Richard Hart, there's a lot of things that we don't know. Okay, and only time will tell. Okay, and I said here, he's been rumored to be working on a wallet that will replace a Rabi wallet and MetaMask. The chain's sacrifice funds amount to 166,000 Ethereum, is worth around 700 million. That puts it at number 5 in the top Ethereum reserves, strategic reserves, holding more than Coinbase. Look at this. I have it right here. PulseChain's at number 5, guys. Yeah, you can go flex that. We hold more Ethereum than Coinbase. Crazy. We are the MicroStrategy of Ethereum. Richard Hart is the Michael Saylor of Ethereum. You see, all of a sudden, you're now feeling more bullish for PulseChain. Carry on believing, guys. Carry on learning about PulseChain. We're going to move on to now some global macroeconomic news. Bullish, the US GDP is now up 3.8% higher than expected. So yeah, they revised the Q2 GDP, and it's actually higher than what they expected. I think the expected was, I'm not sure if it was 3.4 or 3.7. We're going to see that in a second. We have a thread. And get ready for a pump. So this is actually great news. I really do like this. So big shout out to Trueflation. They made a nice little thread here that we're going to talk about. And you can see, it was revised from 3.3, but I'm not sure what was their expectation. But regardless, this is really great. Okay. Here's a thread. They said GDP surprised to the upside, but caution is warranted. Let's see what they're talking about. The US economy grew 3.8% in Q2, revised from 3.3 and well above expectations. That's a sharp rebound from Q1's contraction, showing resilience in growth. However, beneath the surface, the story is more nuanced. They continue to say, remember, GDP is a simple equation of consumption, investment, plus government spending, plus exports minus imports. In Q2, the rebound came from a few key drivers. Fewer imports, which mechanically lifted growth, stronger consumer spending, so services, weaker investment and exports. trade distortions explain much of the swing. In Q1, businesses rushed to import ahead of tariff hikes. Imports spiked, GDP looked weak. In Q2, imports fell back after that rush. GDP looks stronger. That's why experts look beyond the number to gauge true domestic demand. Very good point. And they continue to say a clearer measure is the real final sales to private domestic purchasers. It strips out trades and inventories, leaving U.S. households and business spending. That measure rose to 2.9% in Q2, up from 1.9%, pointing to steady underlying demand even after adjusting for trade distortions. Then they say another important pillar is tech investment, especially AI. Spending on software, research and development, and data centers has remained resilient, cushioning the economy even as other types of investment slowed. Paired with steady consumer demand, this tech wave is keeping the economy afloat. And here they say, now, what about the quarterly inflation inside the report? PCE price index is up 2.1%. Core PCE, excluding food and energy, is up 2.6%, slightly up from 2.5% the previous month. So while growth was revised higher, inflation only edged up a little, a significant expansion without a proportionate rise in prices, a classic Goldilocks outcome. Still, tariff-driven trade swings may be masking the true dynamics between growth and inflation, and in any case, inflation remains sticky. Our real-time data also confirms this. And then here they end up with stronger GDP, sticky inflation, the room to cut rates is tightening. Moments like these demand real-time data, and again, big shout out to Trueflation. So yeah, moving on to other news, we have a Coinvo says breaking US inflation has now dropped to 2.05%, which is, by the way, their target. And I like the fact that we've been around their target for such a long time. It gives the Federal Reserve more ammo to stimulate the market, i.e. raising inflation down the line. It really does tie into the whole sine wave attribute, right? So the lower we stay down here, the higher we can go. Quite simple as that, really. And another tweet from investing.com says breaking US jobless claims rise to 118,000 from the estimated 233,000 and a previous data point of 232,000. And another tweet from Coinvo says breaking European Central Bank just warned Europeans to start saving cash and prepare for a crisis. And by the way, it's them who are also working on a CBDC, central bank digital currency. So it's crazy that they're kind of fear-mongering people, telling them, oh yeah, go back. Whatever, sell your stocks or crypto and start saving cash, turn them to fiat. Guys, they want you to be holding like monetary value in a system that they control. So keep in mind, don't feed into this fear mongering that they're doing. Okay, and we have another tweet here from Max Crypto says breaking the odds of a US government shutdown by next week just hit 67%. This is a major reason why markets are dumping. Well, don't really agree. I don't think that's the reason why like a poly market is the reason why markets are dumping, but it's more to do with this. Okay, we had WW3 fears, such as here from Bricks News, saying just in, Russia says a war with NATO will break out if NATO shoots down Russian aircraft. And then you have Donald Trump saying NORAD scrambled fighter jets to intercept Russian planes off Alaska earlier this morning. Again, did that happen? I'm not really sure, but guys, there's a lot of people just making tweets, and it's a lot of fear mongering going on. Okay, from media, from whoever. So please keep in mind, block the noise and use WW3 fears. That counts as noise. Moving on, we have a tweet from Amicable C says PulseChain is objectively the next biggest opportunity in crypto. It has legal clarity as being deemed non-security. It has the same fundamental technology stack as Ethereum with faster and cheaper transactions for users. The simplest way to kind of describe PulseChain is the younger brother to Ethereum. It can do everything Ethereum can, but with more features. Okay, and here it says, it is supported by arguably the strongest community in the cryptocurrency space. It has great price entry point at the same time compared to many other mainstream cryptocurrencies. The potential for the price to perform similar to what Ethereum did, right from its ICO, did a 14,000 is very much within the realm of possibilities given the design and the coin distribution, right, with the whole OA side of things, which I'm going to talk about in the next video. It is a once-in-a-lifetime lifetime opportunity that should not be ignored. Why is it a once in a lifetime opportunity? Because this layer 1 chain is going through its first cycle. It's a cycle 1 chain, guys. Okay, because after this, that is it. In the next cycle, it's going to be cycle 2. Don't get me wrong. That means it doesn't discount that we're going to see gains from there, but usually the best time to be the highest growth potential is within its first cycle. And then here we have a tweet from Richard Hart that I want to show you guys. Sometimes maximum FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt is equal to maximum opportunity. Bitcoin dropped 40% from 5K to 3K in 2 weeks for a China ban. I did an 8-hour long live stream and that was it. It was the bottom. The price was 20K 3 months later. Don't you wish you bought Bitcoin at 3K? Okay, giving us a really, really great story here, or as more of a lesson. And then finally, the last tweet, and we'll wrap up this video. I have much more to talk about in the next video, but I just want to kind of cut it down to be more bite-sized for you guys. We have a tweet from Trevon that says, the vibe I get with PulseChain is the same vibe I got with Solana when it was $10 weeks after the FTX collapse. Weeks after literally being rugged by SBF, after the chain being paused over and over, the community was still as rabid and convicted as they were at the previous cycle high. I said I was going to buy some. Weeks later, it did a 5x to $50, forcing me to buy higher. The PulseChain ecosystem gives me the same vibes. You can tell by looking at the engagement on some of the posts about PulseChain that these people are not going to go away no matter how low or how bad it looks. Big shout out to Trevon. Guys, I'm going to end the video there. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Remember, big shout out to the man above. Trust in the process, trust in God, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.